Greetings, community, and welcome to NCBD Comics and another edition of Kevin's most anticipated reads tomorrow for New Comic Book Day, 5/7/2025. And here we are once again, and it's great to be alive. I do appreciate those that cruise on through on the rewind, and it seems to be quite a few. And if you do like what you see, I wouldn't mind if you could hit that like and possibly subscribe. I'd like to see you more often. Now, that being stated, let's go ahead and start it off talking about Marvel Studios. They're going to give us an all-new Venom, issue number 6. Kind of like this one. And, okay. Issue number 5 took a lot of people, by surprise. So what we're going to get is an explanation, essentially, what led to the bonding of the two individuals. That identity has now been revealed in issue number 5 and cover appearances on number 6. It's not a great mystery, though. I'm still not going to say it. So I am looking forward to go ahead and get into this issue in particular, to go ahead and find out exactly how all this transpired. What led to the bonding and why. I mean, there has to be a lot more to the why than the result of how. That makes sense. So let's go ahead and jump into that to figure it all out. I do have the book. I can't wait to get into it. But however, there are a couple of books in front. So let's move out from all new Venom issue number 6 coming out to you and to me, which I already got, on 5/7/2025. And let's cruise over to celebrate Amadeus Cho 20th year special issue number 1. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years. I did end up picking up the original series, and I do have some of that stuff and a few issues. Anyways, it was hit and miss for me, and it seemed like it was for a younger generation. I was of a type of mind. I didn't really, get into everything. It was kind of a roller coaster for me. I do need to revisit it, especially that we're into a new, book that's celebrating its 20th years of Amadeus Cho. So I am looking forward to not only getting into the book that is coming out on 5/7, but I need to definitely go back through some of my old issues. And how did all this guy start again? Seriously. Brain's going away, and I'm looking forward to go ahead and revisit it in the issue number 1 that's coming out tomorrow. Today, something like that for you, depending on when you're listening to this. So let's move out from Amadeus Cho, issue number 1 of the 20th year anniversary, and let's cruise over and talk about Ultimate Wolverine, issue number 5. Hey, Jack. How you do? Hope all is well with you. There's been some type of agreement made with both Ultimate Wolverine and Ultimate Sabretooth. Upon this agreement, where there is this, I guess, unilateral understanding between the two. If one seemed to be compromised, the other one would assist. Seems like one of them is compromised. I think we're going to get a whole idea what Ultimate Sabretooth is all about, and what this agreement is all about, and how all this is developing into essentially being one of the puppets to, this Ultimates that is about to release. And here we are in the issue. We got 6 months to go until all hell breaks loose. So we're just ramping up, and we're halfway there. So I can't wait to get into issue number 5 of Ultimate Wolverine. Moving on, no, one more. So Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 3 comes out to you and me. That is more Goblin. Goblin again. Goblin assist or Goblin villain? I'm not quite certain. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on. And here we are leading up to from an old series going into the new series. And I thought we totally squashed this whole yeah, it's kind of trippy. What it really needs to be is just I need to sit back and just enjoy the ride. So I'm looking forward to jumping into issue number 3 of Spider-Man, because it's been pretty well written, and I've been enjoying it so far. So Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3 coming out to you and me on 5/7/2025. Let's move out from that, over from the Marvel Studios, and cruise over to the Image area and talk about, all right, I got a lot of apologies to make right here. So first off, look, I was told that basically this whole Grommets was going to end up coming out not last week. It was delayed. It was my Blue Light special, however, being that it didn't come out last week. I guess it could have been. So it's going to be as my runner-up on this Blue Light special, because I am looking forward to getting into it. I did end up getting Now, if I recall, let me see if I can remember. That is considered. I could be totally wrong, but I always thought that was a Smith grind. Now, I used to skate with Mike Smith in Madrid, and to me, that looks like a Smith grind. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. It's not necessarily a rail slide because of what's grinding right there is on that wheel. Pure rail slides would just be rail only on the coping, and that wheel is definitely grinding on the backside of the coping, which would make it a Smith grind. That's how I always looked at those things. And also sometimes on the inside line of this wheel will also be either grinding on the inside of the coping, or that'll be lapped over on the top of the on the well, we had Indy trucks back then, but it was on top of the trucks, and that was considered something else, and I can't remember. I think it was like it was a type of Smith grind though. I swear. Anyways, I got this book, Grommet 7, and it came out finally. I can't wait to jump into it. Why? Because it was last week's Blue Light Special. So I do apologize to those that are looking for the book. And hey, look, Evan said it was supposed to be coming out. I was told it was. Sorry. I do greatly appreciate those that do consider the fact that I am incorrect at times. It happens. Look, I do understand that some of these books did come out somewhere on the East Coast. I do know it. I'm just saying. Same thing with the whole Wacky Racers. It was supposed to come out this week, being that only a couple, speckles of book came out last week. Majority of the I don't know what's going on with Diamond. So I'm just saying, I'm just happy I end up getting my grommets finally. So moving on from that image, giving all kinds of apologies, moving into Mad Cave Studios, talking about Gotcha Man issue number 9. The reason why is we're done vacationing, we're done hanging out, we've concluded definitively our first arc, and now we're deep into them saving us, as always, from invading aliens. I mean, and doing what they do best, saving us from the invading aliens of doom and destruction. I don't know what to say. These ninja science warriors are just so awesome. It not only brings me back to my childhood, but it's so well written that I would normally have abandoned it, something like this, after a while, just to go ahead and buy a little bit of my childhood, be able to feast on that just a little bit enough to be able to say I got my taste and I'm good enough. However, it's so well written, as I stated earlier, that I can't let it go. Even after that, what was that, the filler gap issue of issue number 7, where all we did is just kind of vacation around and do a whole lot of nothing. I mean, yeah, it was kind of fun, but it shows that even as poor as the story as that was, even it was still fun. So yeah, they got me hooked. I cannot, take this off my pull list. So Gotcha Man issue number 9 is definitely high on my most anticipated reads. Moving out from Mad Cave Studio, let's talk over at Boom, because Boom's going to go ahead and give us Uncanny Valley issue number 9. This is considered your penultimate, second to last issue to, finalizing the storyline. It has been awesome. Originally, it was slated to be a 12-issue maxi series. It got cut. Being that it got cut well into the start of this series, by issue 2, Tony Flicks already knew that they're going to cut 2 issues out of the series, so he well paced the series to go ahead and give it something not so abrupt when we get to this ending. So it's going to be well paced. I'm looking forward to it. I've been enjoying this so far, and yes, it's like I said, the second to the last issue. So here we are with Margaret trying to embrace her mom, Oliver's mom, trying to embrace her inner cartoonhood. And here we are, Oliver really understanding and embracing his, and starting to learn and really do pretty well with his shape and shifting and manipulation stuff. So here we are with ramping up to what we know we're going to get, as I said, this being the second to last issue, them essentially training up for the last issue to go ahead and come to the final battle. And hopefully in this battle, we'll come to an understanding of not one or the other has to exist. Some way, somehow, we can coexist. I'm just saying, we can do this. All right, moving out from Boom Studios, let's cruise over to Dynamite. They're going to give us the last 2 issues. This one was so difficult for me, truly, because I've been looking forward for nearly 6 months, and I've been talking to another individual about the other for years. I didn't know they're gonna fall on the same day, so I had to look. You'll understand, I'm sure, when I get into it. All right, so started it off, second to the last issue. Almost made my Blue Light special, but Space Ghost / Johnny Quest, the Space Quest, issue number 1 will come out on 5/7/2025, and it just missed the Blue Light special bully. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. If you were to tell me when I was a 8, 9, 10-year-old kid that we were gonna get a Space Ghost Johnny Quest crossover, I'd be like, wait, how's that gonna work? No, seriously, how's that gonna work? So I'm dying to go ahead and get my hands on this thing. I'm so curious. I end up getting, I don't know, I got like 2 of the ash cans of these things. I did not open them purposely. I didn't want to really ruin it. I did flip through some of the art on the stuff, being that, well, this is cool. I mean, and I didn't want it to lure me in. And I know I'm actually giving a breakdown I normally do on Blue Light specials, but yeah, this Space Ghost Johnny Quest thing I've been waiting for so many months. Yeah, I even had, you know what? I had Joe Casey sign the ash can, and it was the first one that he saw, along with everyone in the store, all these writers and artists that were at a signing event that I was at. He not only signed my book, but he really insistently asked me if he can go ahead and check it out. I allowed him to look through it. Like I said, I didn't. He not only checked through it and was astonished by how well it came out, but then he persisted on to end up showing it to everyone else who asked for it. It made its round around the whole store, and then I finally got it back. Yeah, that's right. So hey, I appreciate Joe Casey for giving me that wonderful story that I could share with you. And that's why, again, it was so close to being my Blue Light special. However, this week's Blue Light special is Yo Fable. I appreciate you, Mark, and everyone that shows up. This week's Blue Light special is, well, Captain Planet. Yeah, I've been talking to David Pepos about Captain Planet and Planeteers for quite some time. Just the other day was Free Comic Book Day. I saw them both on the 3rd and the 4th. I spent a considerable amount of time on the 3rd. He and I talked. I didn't realize how close he lived to me. We were just, yeah, we went way off the rails in so many different directions. It was awesome. Not only that, we did get to talk comics, and he did tell me again how wonderful it is to be able to write something like this, being that he's not only fully prepared to be able to deliver what he feels to be a story that he believes needs to be told. You know what I mean? And not only that, it's something that is personal to him. It's something that means a lot. And yeah, he's not only like us, a fan, but in the case of not like many of us, he's a creator, and he really has been truly wanting to not only be a writer for something like this, but to be able to enjoy it like a fan. And it's because of that, I do believe that it did influence me to go ahead and make this my Blue Light special to some degree. At the same point, this is another one of those things that I grew up showing my younger brother, as I was raising him with my mom, that it just brings a lot of memories back. You know what I mean? And the messages that accompany these type of stories, again, I was talking to David and I said, how wonderful is it that he gets to tell these type of stories, these rebellious stories, such as Speed Racer that's coming out, Space Ghost, being that essentially it's almost kind of like a Captain Planet, but in outer space type situation. But instead of just dealing with ecosystems and conservation of limited resources, he's preserving limited resources of life in outer space. And that's the differences between Space Ghost and Captain Planet, in my opinion. Essentially, they're talking about social things and all that. I'm not going to get too in depth with that. My point being that David Pepos is not only going to be super busy until the early 2027, but he's also delivering on books that I grew, not necessarily totally grew up, but in my later teens and into younger adulthood, thoroughly enjoyed with others and thoroughly enjoyed the message. So that's why also it is my Blue Light special, not only just necessarily because I know it's going to be a great story. And again, I didn't read the Ashcans, but so much I got to speak with David about, the writing, what went into it, the preparation, and the years of, not only just appreciation, but research into this character so he can best write it to be appreciated by others, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm dying to get my hands on this book. Hopefully I will see him tomorrow at a signing event that he will be over at the Comic Bug in Culver City. And I love to be able to further my conversation that I had with them from over the weekend. To those that decided to cruise on through and hang out with me, I appreciate you. As always, buddy, I appreciate you greatly. Fable, I appreciate you cruising on through. Jag, you're a fan. You're a man. And I appreciate you as always. You've been here since early on in the days. And just like Mark and Fable, I can't say enough. You guys have a great evening. I hope everyone go ahead and get those books on New Comic Book Day that you're searching, you're hunting, and you're desiring for. And that's it for me. Entropy. Take care.